All right, guys, so what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna show you a really cool trick, tool that you can use in order to help bring more awareness in the idea or the concept of symmetry within your body. And the first thing that I wanna remind you is that, remember, every exercise, every movement, every position the body can be in can be a potential assessment to understand what's actually happening within your body from a symmetry perspective. So in this position, it's extremely simple. What you need to do is you just need to have some type of a platform that you can use. It can be a couch, it can be a chair, regardless of whatever it is. What you're gonna do is you're actually going to lie down like so on your back with your legs up, and you want to make sure that you're at a 90-degree angle at the knees and a 90-degree angle at the hips. So if I'm back here, I'm too far away. I want to come right underneath my knees with the hips right here. And if you have a platform like mine, which is just slightly less, if I didn't have this pillow here, my ankles would be underneath my knees and it would be too low. So figure out where that point is, and then all you're going to do is lie down on your back in this position. Now, if you have trouble lying back in this position, let's say you have a little bit you have trouble moving at the pelvis, maybe a little bit more of the round in the upper back, some kyphosis, you'll notice that when you try to lie down, your head kind of cocks backwards like this. What you want to do is put a pillow underneath your head to bring your head up so it's pointing straight up at the ceiling again. So if you don't need that pillow, you can just lie here just like this, and you can bring your arms right out to your sides at a 45-degree angle from your body. Now this is the thing, when you first get into this position, remember, symmetry, it's, believe it or not, extremely simple of a concept. When you lie down in this position, recognize that everything that you feel on one side of your body should feel exactly the same as what it feels like on the other side of your body. Remember, our body itself is not symmetrical, right? So when we first get into this position, remember, our body is not symmetrical, but the floor, the ground, is completely flat and straight. So when we lie down on our back here, we're gonna put our asymmetrical body against the complete flat and even floor, and you're gonna feel differences, pressures against the floor in different areas of your back. And believe it or not, these are extremely different from person to person. Now, the next thing that we teach here is what I call a full body scan. If you try to pay attention to everything inside of your body at one time and feel everything, it's a little bit overwhelming and it's a little bit challenging to understand what you're feeling. So what I like to do is I do a full body scan. So from head to toe, I'm gonna start at either the head or the feet, and I'm just gonna pick, let's pay attention right now, for example, in my feet, and I'm just paying attention to anything that I notice that feels different from one side of the body to the other. And that could be different pressure against the pillow or the surface here. It could be muscles that feel differently. I might feel that one foot's kind of rolling out one direction, the other one's not. And all I wanna do is take notice of what I'm feeling in the feet. And then once I have a good concept of that, I'm gonna go ahead and move up. I'm gonna go into the shins. I'm gonna pay attention to, do I feel anything different from one side to the other? Move up into my knees. I'm gonna eventually get down into my hips. And I'm closing my eyes and relaxing in this position. And you might notice this is where most people are gonna start to feel things. And maybe initially you notice that maybe one side feels heavier into the ground than the other. Maybe they both feel completely symmetrical. I'm not sure what you're gonna feel. Just try to be really introspective here and think about what is it that you feel. And whether you have the right answer or not, sometimes when you're first getting into the position, maybe you're like, it feels different, but I'm not so sure how, right? I don't know I know it doesn't feel the same. And maybe right off the bat, that's good enough. Maybe that's something that you can note down, maybe in the beginning, that I'm not really sure what's different about it, but it's different. And that's really all you need to understand. And I'll tell you why as we go further through this. Now, go from the hips, you're gonna move up into the lower back. You're gonna feel different pressures. Maybe you feel part of the back on the ground and the other part not on the ground. You're going to go into the shoulders. You might feel the upper back or the shoulders, the shoulder blades. Maybe they're sticking into the ground differently. You know, whatever it is that you feel, you can go all the way up into your head and your arms and your upper body, and you're just taking kind of mental notes here of what it is that you feel that is different from one side of the body to the other. And that's it. Now, like we were talking about before, when you get into this position, a person who is completely functionally symmetrical will just immediately get in and everything is going to feel completely symmetrical. And regardless of who you are, I'm telling you, most people, even especially when you have something like scoliosis, you might say, well, of course I don't feel even, I have scoliosis, and I can't feel even because I'm feeling my spine against the ground. Common misconception, again, that is assuming that this kind of goes into the topic of, can your spine change, right? Does scoliosis change? And this is one of the most profound things throughout my practices that I've learned over these years, and why I'm so passionate about this is because every person's body will change, okay, when you do the right things. Now, when you lie in this position, you're going to feel all these asymmetries. We use these as assessments, and one of the greatest things you can do with this assessment is you can use it to determine whether or not the exercises you're doing or the therapy process you're doing is actually making a difference. So let's say I'm using this as a test and I want to go do different exercises. I can actually come back into this position and feel my body again and determine, does it feel A, more even in any way? And it can be even in different ways. Maybe my pelvis moves, maybe the mid-back, maybe the shoulders, maybe whatever asymmetries you have, it can move in different ways for different people. Also, depending on what it is that you did, can determine the type of change that your body has in this position. And this goes more into the uniqueness from person to person. And again, if this sounds a little bit overwhelming or like it's a lot of information, try not to stress over this. This is really your first interaction with feeling your body maybe, or thinking about it, wanting to think about it in this way. And it can be a little bit overwhelming. And again, the concept of trying to change your body, coming back into this position, you're going to learn a lot. Like, you might be doing things and coming back into this position and going, I feel less even. That can be kind of overwhelming, but it takes time to be able to understand what's happening with your body and really develop a more of a kinesthetic, kind of a closeness with your body. It takes time. This is something that over time we've just really lost touch with. Most people, when they're going through exercises or doing things these days, just kind of do the exercises and it's grind through it, right? That's what exercise is, it's push through it. You're not being introspective or thinking about what you feel within the movements. And again, this is why it's such a big aspect of my program, is teaching people how to be introspective about their body and really bridge that gap so that you can tap in to your own awareness. Because these are clues. These individual things that you're feeling in this position from person to person, these are clues that are telling you exactly what you need to do, right? Whether you have scoliosis, whether you have knee pain or back pain or anything that's going on with the body, again, it's supposed to be symmetrical. So when you're getting in these positions, you're lying here and it's not symmetrical, this is something that you want to address. That's why it's such a valuable assessment. And you'll notice that when you get to the point that whatever you're doing starts to affect this position in a positive way, you'll notice that whatever symptoms you're dealing with or whatever circumstances you're dealing with are probably getting better. You might notice a transition that it feels better. Now again, this is a one-dimensional pressure. We're just looking at one aspect. This isn't the only assessment. It's not, there's a lot more to this, but again, I just wanted to give you guys a tool, something that you can use to start expanding your mindset and thinking about your body in different ways and bridging that awareness, that gap of awareness into your own body. And then use this as an assessment with whatever it is you're doing to help your body determine whether or not those things are actually balancing you out or not. And again, if you're questioning whether or not it's possible for you to ever balance these things out, even if you have scoliosis, even severe scoliosis, I'm telling you, anybody, this is why I say that anybody can get better, because I put people through these, and every person that thinks I can't change, once we actually go through the program, they get into this position and it changes. But you have to do the right things. If you do the wrong things, it's not going to change, or it's going to change in the wrong direction. Okay, so I'm going to leave that up to you. And what I want you to do is, if you're open and willing to it, get into this position, try it out, and see whatever it is that you notice. And you can test this position over and over again. The other thing is just recognize this is actually also a powerful, I'm going to throw this in here, this is a powerful exercise, believe it or not, in my program. If you actually just continue to lie here, what ends up happening, I'm not going to go into too much detail, maybe we can save that for another video, but what ends up happening is the compensation patterns inside of your body that hold your body in asymmetrical positions, because again, that's what brings asymmetry to your body. It's not your scoliosis, it's the asymmetrical muscular patterns, right? When those compensation patterns start to go away, because again, when you're lying against the ground is pushing up against your body, those muscles can turn off essentially. And what your body's going to do is it's going to start to sink down into the ground. So if you lie here for 5, 10, 15 minutes, you're going to notice it doesn't feel the same. It actually, by the time you get up, your body's going to be more symmetrical than it was when you got in. You're going to have, if you have scoliosis, there's going to be less scoliosis. Whatever is going on with your body, that's going to be more symmetrical. Now, small caveat here, thing to understand. Your body's probably not used to, especially if you haven't, if you're not very functional, you haven't been doing a lot of functional work, your body is not going to be used to. This can be so powerful. It can remove so much compensation in your body. And remember, your compensation was there to protect your body. It served a purpose to try to maintain balance in your body. Even though it's asymmetrical balance, it's still trying to maintain balance. So when you lie in this position and you start taking away your body's coping mechanisms, so to speak, those compensation patterns go away, some of you are really going to be left with nothing there to keep your body stable again, which is why there are other things that I do. I typically, depending on the person, this isn't a one-step thing. If you lie here for 15 minutes and you just get up and go throughout your day, it can be a lot for your body to handle. So typically we add movements after to reestablish tension within the body, so that it kind of, when we take away those new compensation patterns, it's stable again, so to speak. Because it can be it doesn't seem, you're just lying here, so it doesn't seem like much is happening, but to just radically shift and make those changes at one time, here, it's powerful. It's a big change that your body can undergo. It could be more powerful than a really intense movement session where we think that because it's hard, that means that there's more change happening. That doesn't really correlate in this world. Its intensity does not correlate to effectiveness when it comes to functionality. It doesn't. And something like this can be extremely powerful. So again, those are all other bigger topics, and we're not going to go into detail about that. But for now, try this out, lie in this position, see what you learn, and feel free to comment below on whatever it is that you actually learned by doing this. I would really love to hear. All right, thank you guys so much. Any questions that you have on this, also put those in the comments and I'll get back to those ASAP.